There's a tropical island that looks like it could be paradise, but something is never quite right. The weather stays in ideal conditions, and the local bar is always stocked with just the right amount of rum. Fishing is one of the main tourist activities on the island, and there's one boat captain who seems more focused on catching an elusive fish than he does actually making sure that his paying customers have a good time. So does Serenity deliver on the mystery and the intrigue hinted at in the trailers? Or should we all just watch reruns of Gilligan's Island instead? Let's talk about it in this review. The story centers on a single man whose sole purpose and function seems to be catching the island's most mysterious and gigantic fish. Baker Dill, played by Matthew McConaughey, is the local boat captain that takes tourists out on the water to fish, and he has a bit of a mysterious past. In fact, the only thing people really know about him on the island is he's trying to catch this gigantic elusive fish, and he doesn't really have a successful business. He struggles to make the income he needs to keep his business going, to pay for gas, supplies, etc. Then one day, a mysterious woman arrives on the island. Her name is Karen Zariakis, and she's played by Anne Hathaway. She turns out to be his ex-wife, and she tells him that she would like him to actually kill her new husband. Her current husband is physically abusive to her and verbally abusive to the son. She has a plan, and she explains the plan to him on how to kill her current husband. But as it goes in these kind of stories, things never go exactly as planned. So overall, the tension's mounting pretty well. That is until a mysterious man shows up to give Baker a brand new piece of fishing gear to help him catch this elusive gigantic fish. He tells him that he's giving him this because that's what he's meant to do. He is meant to constantly be trying to capture this fish, and he is not meant to murder her husband. That's the rules on the island. And here's where the story gets weird. We see Baker kind of going through his routines, and there's always just one little thing that's slightly off to kind of keep everybody guessing as to what's going on the island. At one point, we discover that he can hear his son's thoughts as well, like they have some kind of supernatural or spiritual connection to each other. Unfortunately, by the end of the second act, though, things fall completely apart, and the big twist or big reveal suddenly hits, and we discover that the island is actually a video game that his son has created. Throughout the film, as he's talking about his son, there's these little flashbacks that show his son sitting in front of a computer typing code for a game that he's playing on his computer with his headphones on while his mom and his stepdad are arguing outside of his bedroom. Turns out that game that he's playing and the code he's writing for the game he's playing in his room is the actual island that Matthew McConaughey's character lives on with everybody else. So he's not actually hearing his son's thoughts. He, as the computer video game character, is actually hearing the code that his son is writing for the game. Imagine the video game The Sims coming to life on a tropical island where people swim naked, drink lots of rum, sleep with each other for fun or for business, go on fishing trips. Like, all of the craziness that happens on this island is all happening because his son is writing the code for it to happen. And if you think that's weird, just wait, it gets weirder. Turns out that his father in the film was actually a real life person. He was a combat veteran who was killed overseas during active duty. So he never really got to know his father. So what gets weirder in this story is Matthew McConaughey's character in the game is completely made up from the kid's imagination or from whatever stories he heard from his mother. His mom in real life, not in the video game, did get remarried, and the guy she remarried was verbally and physically abusive to her, as well as verbally abusive to him, the kid. And at some point, eventually the kid does snap. He writes a brand new code in the game that brings his mom and stepdad to the island, where on the island, he does actually kill his stepdad, but also in real life, he kills his stepdad too. Stay with me, folks, because we're still going to get even weirder. The film is really split into two parts. It's before the big reveal and after the big reveal. Before the reveal, it's like people are living on an island doing these things. But once we realize they're not actually doing those things, they're doing what they're instructed to do based on the code that the kid is writing, that's when everything falls apart and gets super weird, because these people aren't acting of free will. They're being told what to do through the code since they're just video game characters. It's just weird. However, if we view this film as the kid using art, using his imagination and creativity to create a world that he is allowed to escape into, to deal with the traumas and the hurt that exist in his real life, and he can avoid the real life confrontations by processing them out through his art form of creating video games, then all of a sudden we have a completely different film. However, he still kills his stepfather by the end of the film, which makes all of that powerful, profound moments and showing the power of art completely voided out. So now we don't really know what this film is about, because it's not about the kid creating the island to kind of escape into, because he doesn't escape into it. Eventually he snaps and he kills his stepfather, both in the game and in real life. It's not about using art to deal with trauma and try and work through personal issues, because again, at the end of the film, he still doesn't resolve his issues. He still kills his stepfather and then goes back to the game and keeps playing the game. So everything is such a muddled mess. Serenity is playing at your local movie theater right now, and you can absolutely skip seeing this film on the big screen. I understand what the film was trying to deliver on, but I don't think it delivered on any of it, and because of that, Serenity is getting 0 high fives from this guy. Serenity is playing at your local movie theater right now. Maybe watch any other film about tropical island paradises instead.